Ethan Klein has made a new channel just for fun. And I figure I'll take a look. He's doing this commentary style, that's become very popular amongst older men that don't want to put effort into their videos, such as myself. So let's give it a shot, bro.
With another one. Today we are looking at our very favorite man-loving.
It's a great start when like I have to use an external application to turn up the volume to hear what he's saying.
A genius, a once in a billion years man, great thinker, darling of the right, Jordan Peterson. Where would we be?
I think Jordan Peterson's kind of smart. I mean, I've seen him say some pretty weird stuff, but like, I think social media is famous for grabbing your worst moments and amplifying them. So,
without men, and I'll tell you what, the guy loves so much men. He loves men so much. He's coming out with these hot takes. Let me look at this.
Okay.
Now,
what's wrong with loving men? Huh, Ethan? What's wrong with loving? And what's wrong with two men loving each other deeply, profoundly, and passionately, lovingly, and intimately, kissing on the mouth? What's wrong with that?
Jordan has always said,
I wish you could move your
that he is not right leaning. He's
okay. As of today, it's official. Conversion therapy is banned in Canada. Our government's legislation has come to force, which means it's now illegal to promote, advertise, benefit from, or subject someone to this hateful and harmful practice. LGBTQ human rights. Conversion therapy, more moral grandstanding from our juvenile OM. I wonder why he said that. What's interesting? I say this a lot, but I talked to this individual who talked about it was a great conversation. He was a therapist for trans people, and it was actually really good. And he made this very interesting point. He's like, technically, like, when you're dealing with trans people, like it's, transitioning is a form of conversion therapy. It is, you are converting. And it's like, that's an interesting way to look at it. When we refer to conversion therapy, though, we talk about like shock therapy, horrible treatments that are terrible. One question, though, it's very interesting. It's something that I have like, struggled with. I don't know. But like one time, I think my wife asked me a question, and she just did it as like like a thought experiment. It's like, what would happen if somebody, like let's say a young LGBT, or not a young, an older or an adult LGBTQ person, like a gay person, came to you and they said, "I want you to perform conversion therapy." Like, what's the moral correct thing to do? I would imagine not let them do it, but it's just kind of interesting and stimulating.
It's not political. But recently, if you look at his Twitter, he's kind of just...
I guess I should go to his Twitter. I wonder what he's talking about. Like, why did he say it was moral grandstanding? This is the problem with Twitter, and this is why I try not to post too much on Twitter, because like it's very easy to take yourself out of, be taken out of context. And like it's very easy to push yourself out of it's Jordan's fault. Or maybe that's the correct context and he just doesn't like gay people. I don't really know.
Gotten pretty radical to the point where this tweet he put out today was shocking to even me, whose expectations are low for Mr. Kermit the Frog. He says,
bro, did he just laugh at that?
Mr. Kermit the Frog.
He really thought that was funny. Okay.
He says that Justin Trudeau, Canada's...
I think he removed it. So what was he trying to say with that message? Yeah, he definitely removed it. I don't see it anymore.
Liberal Prime Minister. Jordan hates his guts. You'll see if you scroll his Twitter feed. But Justin Trudeau tweeted out, as of today, it's official. Conversion therapy is banned in Canada. Our government's legislation has come into force, which means it's now illegal to promote, advertise, benefit from, or subject someone to this hateful and harmful practice. Okay. LGBTQ2 rights are human rights.
What's the two? Oh, like two Qs, like queer and questioning? Is it like because I know what? Is that the acceptable term? I thought it was LGBTQIAP. All right, whatever.
There's a 2 at the end of it? It's news to me.
It's weird that I'm asking the same questions as Ethan. It's not a...
What does the 2 mean?
Is it Two Spirit? Is that a new one? What's the official acronym? I feel like we should probably we should probably figure it out. It makes sense, though, if it's an indigenous thing. That kind of makes sense. Because I know Canada has, like, they're dealing with, like, their terrible history of mistreatment of, like, indigenous people. Which, you know, it's a good thing to be representative. Not that we have not that ours is much better, you know. I'm just saying.
I thought it was plus. We upgraded to 2. Well, anyway, that should be basically a non-controversial thing. Conversion therapy, for those that don't know, is the practice of trying to ungay people. Usually practiced by religious people who teach that being gay is a sin. They have
It can apply to trans people too, for sure.
Nice little scheme, a nice little marketing ploy there to make a couple extra coins usually that says, if you come to us, we can pray the gay away. And this is a controversial therapy that's been debunked globally. And basically, the way that people do conversion therapy is in short a crime against humanity. I mean, these are human rights violations, and the underpinning theory is basically that being gay is something you need to fix about yourself. That being gay is inherently wrong or evil. Jordan Peterson.
I'm sorry for laughing. I don't know.
And had this to say.
You know why I'm laughing, and I don't even mean to be rude, because like Ethan's doing his best and trying all that. It's just like usually when like somebody brings up a point like this, it's a little bit more profound than that. I don't know. I'm probably just being too harsh, but most of the time it's like political people or social or political individuals. Like if Hassan was doing this, it would obviously probably be much more profound. So I'm just laughing. I'm sorry. You know, I don't mean to be rude. It's not a fair criticism on Ethan.
Conversion therapy, quote, more moral grandstanding from our juvenile.
I want to know what he meant by that. Because, like, obviously he could just mean that, hey, I don't like gay people, fuck gay people, which is possible. But, like, I wish he would explain himself. Like, what is his, like, bizarre mental perspective on that? Like, there's probably, because Jordan Peterson, he's a smart guy, even if he's somebody you don't agree with. He's an intelligent person. So, like, I wonder what he meant. Like, was there some kind of, like, weird... It's hard to explain, but people have like, everybody has a different train of thought, and they have a different chain of thought as well. And so, like, somebody can go through this, like, weird theoretical ideology in their head and come to this conclusion that's like so outlandish based on some bizarre point in their chain of moral values or their chain of thought processes. And I just wonder, what the fuck is he trying to say?
I mean, what? Grandstanding? So Jordan is pro conversion therapy. And this makes sense.
You know what he might have been saying? Possibly. Okay. So this is a very good faith interpretation, and I'm not saying that it's true. What he might be saying, which actually makes sense, is that, like, and this is the way I would interpret it in the best case scenario, is he's saying, like, we already know conversion therapy is banned, nobody's doing it, so banning it is just moral grandstanding. It's a virtue signal. That he might be trying to say, like, oh, you've banned something nobody practices so that you seem like you're woke and you care about people, but in reality nobody really gives a shit. That might be what he means, possibly. That's what I would assume in good faith. That's the best thing that I can think of. So yeah,
it's from a man who loves men.
But I wonder if there's a religious exemption from that, because a lot of times they'll use like spiritual or religious therapy to try to get people to not, you know, and it might be a stand against like the churches doing that. But it's an interesting thing to explore because I talk sometimes about very I don't know how to phrase this, like ideological, or I know the word, I just can't think about it. But like they're political wins that don't really do anything positive, but make you look good about yourself, right? So I talked about this I talked about this a while ago about like banning the Confederate flag in America, right? Because I think that I'm sure there are people who think the Confederate flag is like a sign of the South, whatever. Like, but just take the L, bro, you lost. But like I see it, and I think a lot of people see it as a symbol of slavery. I don't think that we should have the Confederate flag in America. I don't think it should exist in America. The reality, though, is banning the American flag probably has causes more harm than good. And so people who advocate for banning the Confederate flag are generally virtue signaling. And I'll explain to you why. I know this is going to get like a little deep. So first and foremost, like acknowledge like the banning of the American flag, or the Confederate flag rather, doesn't actually help black people, right? Like it's not reversing systemic racism. It's not helping people like climb out of like, particular areas. Second of all, in the areas that are most negatively impacted by, historical systemic racism, areas that are very like where people who are in positions of power, who tend to be white, are still very racist and they identify with that flag, they will be angry and they will take out their anger on people. So police officers, the politicians, etc., and they would end up like disturbing the community more and enacting more racism under the guise of just being like protectors in some capacity. Lastly, it causes like progressives to feel like they got to win and tune out of the conversation of helping black people. So that is so to me, banning the Confederate flag, I think it should be banned from like state buildings and whatnot, but like just outright banning the American flag, people who advocate for that, it's generally a virtue signal and it doesn't really do anything positive for black people. It just makes you feel good, makes you tune out of the conversation, and you feel like, well, we got to win for black people, so we're not going to care for another 6 months, right? So I would say in this case, like, yeah, I would say that this is something that would be potentially, he's making the argument that is like an equivalence. That like, oh, banning conversion therapy is like already basically banned everywhere, so doing this is just a virtue signal, right? That's possibly what it is, right? It's also possible that he fucking hates gay people. I don't really know which one because there's not a lot of context. This is why I try not to argue on Twitter because it's fucking stupid. He might have thought that this was like a whip and a nay-nay, but like without any context, this just sounds dumb. So yeah.
We don't need men.
Yeah, there's some people saying that the Confederate flag like helps black people know where not to go, which actually might be a level of truth because of course you don't want to put yourself in danger.
Having sex with other men? Alpha men should be dominating women. But you would think, because Jordan Peterson has this theory where he says there's, all the alpha men get all the good women, so he should be pro-gay. I mean, that's gonna if you start flipping all the gay men.
Oh, okay. I was like, where did he get the anti-gay shit? What we're reading again? I actually don't think that this is what Jordan. I actually think that my theory is correct on what Jordan Peterson meant. But okay.
Even less.
What's interesting, I know I'm doing a lot of tangents here, but like people talk about how I think it was like Sparta. They're like, yeah, they were very open to homosexuality. They didn't give a shit. It was still a very like masculine versus feminine thing. So like masculine men would like dominate the feminine women, and like yes, they do exactly what you think in an inappropriate way. Like that's my understanding. So
less prime women. For all the betas out there that Jordan Peterson's a hero of. This is truly confusing point made by Jordan. I'm assuming he's saying if he thinks that banning conversion therapy is moral grandstanding, I'm assuming he thinks that it's harmless or good to teach people that being gay is inherently wrong or something that needs to be treated, and not to mention the actual methods that these people employ to.
Yeah, I don't think that he thinks that. I understand why Ethan came to that conclusion. I think that like, because the first thing I thought was like, what the fuck? Like I literally racked my brain to be like, what the fuck could this guy possibly mean? And then I was like, okay, I think that I got it. I might be wrong, but I think that I got it. But I could imagine most people would come in and be like, dude, what are you fucking, like, this guy hates gay people. Which is probably why he removed the post, because it just comes off. Because here's my thing. Here's one of the reasons why, another reason why I don't think that he actually means, like, conversion therapy is good. Because Jordan Peterson's very intelligent, whether you like him or not. Intelligent bigots know what to say. And you know that's the truth, right? If he hated gay people, he would probably say something much more manipulative and methodical and open to interpretation in a way where bigots would be like, yes, I agree. And then non-bigots that tend to be more conservative leaning will be like, I don't think that's bigoted, and here's why. Which maybe is what just happened, actually. It's possible. Because then like, you know, and then non-bigots who are more progressive leaning will be like, this is a bigoted statement. So it's possible, though, he actually does hate gay people, because like we almost saw that in real time. Like, I guess I would be more conservative leaning compared to Ethan, and I was like, I don't think that's bigoted, and here's why. And then Ethan's like, yeah, I think that's bigoted. I just think that, like, it's possible that it's truth, but I also think it just went over people's heads because it just isn't it's not a well expressed take in any capacity.
Quote unquote, pray the gay away. I'm curious what the comments are like. I mean, yeah, even people following him, they're saying, should conversion therapy be illegal? You should be applauding this good news. I'm very confused by this one there, Jordan. What are the quote tweets? Moral grandstanding. It's just wild, man.
This one is the most wild, honestly. I fucking can't believe this guy said that. Like, holy shit.
And I mean, of all the things to criticize Justin Trudeau on, I'm not sure this is the one. A little background about conversion therapy that Jordan Peterson says is banning is moral grandstanding. One of the possible treatments for
why do you put them in quotes? That's a good question. If him putting it in quotes does lend more to the theory that he just hates gay people. I don't know. I really don't know. It's so Twitter is just such a non-nuanced space. Like, I would need to hear him talk about it for like at least a minute or so. Like, Jordan, why did you say this dumb thing? I wish he would tell people why he said the dumb thing instead of just ignore it and move on, you know?
Conversion therapy is lobotomy. Yes, lobotomy, taking out a piece of your brain.
What is H3TV? This is his new commentary channel. He's trying to mimic Papa Gut because he sees how resoundingly successful I am because I'm amazing. And he's like, I'm going to do it. But instead, he's putting his face at the bottom left because he wants me to be able to do this. So it's like, oh, we're both doing this together. Yeah, I agree.
The father of conversion therapy, Walter Freeman, popularized ice pick lobotomy.
Ethan, I agree. Just hold on a second, Ethan. He's actually here with me right now. That's why he did it, you know? Just kidding.
For homosexuality, yes, you heard that right. Putting an ice pick in your brain.
Yeah, scramble your brains. Yeah, that's a fair. Somebody said, would you be willing to speed the video up because Ethan's talking very slowly? Okay.
Just carve the gay out there, you know. Oh, here's the gay part. We're just going to...
Well, that's not quite like what lobotomy is. It's like I think the frontal lobe has to do with like your personality or something. I'm not 100% sure. And then they put like a thing in the front of your brain and they kind of scramble it so it changes you fundamentally as a person.
He performed as many as 3,439 lobotomies.
We were friends on TikTok, yep.
2,500 with ice picks. Would that make him like the most prolific serial killer of all time? 40% of Freeman's patients were gay. In order to change their homosexual orientation, he left most individuals severely disabled for the rest of their lives. Well, that's one way to make sure you never have sex with a man. Just
hey, they were already severely disabled. Am I right? That's terrible. 'Cause we're talking about real people, man. That's fucked up.
Turn them into a vegetable. I mean, they'll never have sex with a woman either. But you know, hey,
they went through the eye in the one that you're talking about. That's crazy. They went right into the eye. I thought they normally went to like the nose or something. That's fucked up.
Stops at least. Am I right? Jordan Peterson thinks that's moral grandstanding. We need to be putting more ice picks.
What I would say is that, like, let's say Jordan Peterson did believe in conversion therapy. There are multiple types of conversion therapy. Like lobotomies aren't even close to the only one. Like there literally is like praying the gay away is a real thing. There's also like electrocution. There's whipping. There's beating. There's like you could do anything. So, but like I would imagine even if he was a supporter of conversion therapy, he probably would be he would. I would imagine he would be more into like pray it away or something. I just don't think that he's into it. And yeah, he should stop with the Kermit. It's a little cringe, you know. You want me to do my Kermit?
Men's brains. We can't allow gay sex to proliferate.
All right,
Bucko.
I'm not gonna do it because it's too cringe.
Yeah. You know, other current day treatments.
Let's move on to the next topic.
It's basically torture. They have you watch
Straight
imagery of two men getting it on.
That's torture. Oh no, don't torture me, please. You know what I'm saying? Don't torture me with that, dude.
And basically shock and torture you.
Oh. Wow, that doesn't sound too bad.
Gas you, electrocute you.
Maybe they could choke me a little too, huh?
Waterboard you, to traumatize you while watching. Got this work stuff open. Let me close this. To make an association in your mind between two men getting it on and basically torture. So that's a bit of moral grandstanding, wouldn't you say, Mr. Justin Trudeau? It's our right to torture gay men. If I want to take a pickaxe to someone's brain, that's my right. God damn it.
Huh?
That's what the kind of stuff that's going on in the conversion therapy world.
Is this whole video going to be that one comment?
Fantastic stuff. Here's a little statement by the LGBT Heroes. This is a English site, an org. What is conversion therapy? It's a gay cure therapy.
Why is he going on so much? I mean, okay.
Here, can you guys read this?
Is this the only thing that we're talking about in this article, in this video? Is this one tweet?
I think so. Zoom in. Conversion therapy. My friends, it's a gay cure therapy. Here, can you guys read this? Let me zoom in a little bit here. Can you read that? Yeah. I think so. Zoom in. Conversion therapy, or so-called gay cure therapy, is any form of talk therapy or similar activity that seeks to remove a person's feelings of same-sex attraction or change their gender identity. Attempts may also be made to force an attraction to the opposite sex. The word therapy can be misleading as there's no scientific basis. Practices often vary wildly and are not regulated. In other words, it's not medically certified, and you don't know what you're getting.
It's very interesting, and this isn't necessarily a criticism on Ethan. I think he's just like, he saw this and he was like, wow, this is disturbing. I want to talk about how shitty it is. But it's very interesting how how bare minimum you have to do to get people to like you. People are like, thank you, Ethan, for speaking out against this topic. But like, not to be an asshole, conversion therapy obviously is horrible. It's definitely not a good thing. I haven't seen anybody advocate for it ever. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you shouldn't hit women. It's like, oh, okay. You know, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not saying he's doing it for that, but it's interesting how people are like, yes, thank you so much, Ethan. Maybe I'm just being cynical. I'm just being very cynical.
Does it work? In a word, no. There's no evidence to suggest that conversion therapy works. In fact, data suggests that the practice is dangerous. Not only does conversion therapy fail to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity, it's also likely to worsen feelings of anxiety, self-harm, depression, and low self-esteem. It's a cure for an illness that does not exist. Ooh, exactly. It's a cure for an illness that does not exist. Conversion therapy is also likely to make prejudice and self-hatred flourish. LGBT plus people who feel rejected in such a way by families and communities are far more likely to self-harm or consider unaliving themselves. Some of the most important mental health organizations in the UK have concluded that conversion therapy is unethical, and the UK organization...
Bro, this video is converting me into being gay. Come on, move on. What else we got here?
Including NHS...
I'm not trying to be an asshole. It's just like, I do understand the point. Like, conversion therapy is really bad. Is this whole thing going to be...
England, Scotland, UK Council for Psychotherapy, and the British Association for Counsel and Psychotherapy have all signed a memorandum of understanding making their position on conversion therapy clear. Efforts to try to change or alter sexual orientation through psychological therapies are unethical and potentially harmful. Whoa, a bunch of moral grandstanding by those hippies over in the UK.
You know what's interesting? Do you think that you could possibly make the argument that prison to some extent is some kind of conversion therapy? Because it's very interesting. Environmentally speaking, you put people in prison and some of them they become like gay in some capacity. Like you see a lot of people develop prison relationships because there's like no availability to women, et cetera, et cetera. And I only say that because I think that obviously I think that we have like incredibly horrible prison standards. And I think that that's very interesting. Because then obviously if you count prison men, half of the population of sexual assault survivors are prisoners, male prisoners. It's insane. It's fucking insane. I imagine that's just reported. So, but you know what's interesting? I because I live in New York, it's Rikers Island. My buddy used to be a correctional officer there. He told me there's no air conditioning there. That's fucking barbaric to me. Like, I know these people are prisoners, but when you treat people like they're not human, they act less human. And so, like, when it's like 100 degrees in the summer and you have no AC, that sounds pretty fucked up. Are you saying we should mix genders in prisons? I mean, that's actually a good question. I don't know that I'd say we should mix genders in prisons. I do think that we need to take a look at the prison dynamic, right? Like, you know, obviously preventative methods for prison, what's effective, because there's a, what is it, like an 80 or is it a 78% recidivism rate in the first 5 years or something? So, like, there's a very high chance that if you go to prison, you're going to go back to prison within the next 5 years again. It's clearly not working. I don't think that I would say mixing genders in prison. But what I'm saying more than anything else is, like, just there's obviously a problem there that needs to be fixed, just in general. Like, if you have men raping other men and it's half of the population of, you know, rape survivors, or yes, we'll say survivors, are in prisons, then clearly there's a problem with our prison system, right?
I'd rather take a pick in my brain than suck a man's dick. Bucko. I've long thought there's nothing more alpha than sucking a dick, though, because think about it, like...
Do you think that Hila watches his videos?
What's being straight? You want a slim, little doll, hairless, little twink, basically. A woman is basically just a twink. That's a woman, right?
What?
So, like, it's kind of gay, in a sense, that Jordan Peterson wants to have sex with women. And it's kind of alpha if you want to fuck, like, a big, muscular, hairy dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's kind of some logic there that the most hetero thing is to fuck a dude. Suck a dick. So
the only way that I like this just point is, like, if I made the joke, I'd be like, hey, honestly, I think that being gay is actually straighter, because I mean, think about it. When you fuck a dude, how many girls has a dude been with? 10? You fuck a girl, it's been with like 10 dudes. You've basically fucking more dudes through transitive properties by fucking a woman. That's how I would make the joke. If I had to interpret his joke, maybe he's saying, like, there's nothing more masculine than dominating a masculine figure. But I just also feel like this joke is not is landing as much as the Kermit the Frog joke is landing.
Oh, where's your alpha god now? Checkmate, red pills, alpha males. The real Sigma male sucks dick to prove how alpha he is. Where would we be without ice pick therapy? You're absolutely grandstanding. Banning conversion therapy? Okay. Pretty nuts, right? In 2020, the International Rehabilitation...
Pretty nuts, that's what I tell my boyfriend. You get it? That's funny. That's very funny. I know. You can laugh. I'll give you a second. I know that he's trolling Jordan Peterson's voice. It's just very cringe.
Council for Torture Victims, this is a UN organization, said that conversion therapy is torture. The UN independent expert on sexual orientation and gender identity, Victor Madrigal-Borloz, said that conversion therapy practices are inherently discriminatory. They're cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment that depends on the severity or physical or mental pain and suffering inflicted on the victim, and it may amount to torture. He recommends banning it across the world. Nice grandstanding there, bucko. What's next? Banning? What would be What's next? Banning running people over with your car? That's outrageous. Those protesters had it coming. Yeah, and I mean, like, the torture and grotesqueness aside of telling people there's something inherently wrong with them just for being gay, it's also just a bullshit therapy, right? Like, it doesn't work. You can't fix being gay.
You know what I think the bigger problem is that people miss Ethan's podcast so much they're willing to watch this. I'm not trying to be a dickhead, but what the fuck? We're kind of droning on this topic. I thought that he would have, like, at least 2 or 3 tweets, but it's this one tweet. You know?
And there's a lot of people...
He didn't end his podcast. He's on a break until, like, whatever. I don't know when.
People making a lot of money and making a lot of false claims. So not only is it, like, morally reprehensible and torture and a human rights violation, it's also just false advertising. Maybe that would appeal more to him. It is false advertising, though. Capitalism flourishes when you can lie to your consumers.
What are you talking about?
So that kind of took me by surprise a little bit there, Jordan. You know, and in the spirit of honoring Jordan's defense of conversion therapy, a shout out to the super trooper from the subreddit who came out to his parents. You should have got that therapy. I've got a good doctor that can place a chainsaw right in the middle of your...
I can't even see the whole thread you're talking about.
Skull. I got a buddy who never fucked anybody ever again. Never fucked a dude. He never fucked anything. I don't get to see my parents much. Let me zoom in a little bit. I keep forgetting that I'm on OBS, and I need to Yeah, you guys can read that. I don't get to see my parents much because of travel restrictions, and I just felt the need to come out to them before their visit ended. I couldn't really continue with the burden of keeping who I am from them, and it feels way worse not knowing when they'll get to visit again for me to tell them. Anyway, I managed to do it, and honestly, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It didn't go bad, but it didn't go great either. Just feeling kind of down in general. Thankful Ethan uploaded new vids on the H3 TV channel. Shout out to myself and to you guys watching right now, Meta, because it's been keeping my spirits up. Plus, remembering all the kind things that the H3 crew have said in support of the LGBTQ plus community has done a lot for me during this time. Peace and love, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Good job, bud.
That's fair. You know, it's very interesting because I know I was digging in a little bit just before about how, like, yeah, obviously conversion therapy is bad, Ethan, and it's like, you know, it's weird that people are having these interactions that are, or reactions that are like, thank you, Ethan, so much for saying this. But I remember a while ago, I was talking with my beautiful, wonderful, intelligent wife, and we were talking about trans people, and we're talking about trans advocacy. And how, like, society's moving forward, and we're like talking more about trans issues. And she said, I think it's really good that we're talking about trans issues, but I think that some people, a lot of people, are getting the impression that now that we're talking about trans issues, which is more progressive than like gay issues, but now that we're talking about trans issues, it feels like people think that we've already completed the issues, like with gay issues. And I was like, wow, that's actually a really interesting thing. Because, like, I think that that's what we do. We're like, oh, we're on to trans shit. Like, gay people are accepted. That's really not true. Like, coming out can still be incredibly difficult. Like, New York and California and shit like that, like in very progressive states, obviously it's like, yeah, it's much easier to do so. But realistically speaking, we're still not there. It's still not, you know, we're still not there. So it was just a very interesting thing that it kind of like enlightened me. I was like, wow, that feels interesting. Because it does seem like sometimes like trans issues kind of push LG or gay issues aside, or I say gay as a blanket for gay, lesbian, and bisexual. Sorry, but you get what I'm saying, and that's not a criticism on the trans conversation. It's just interesting the way people's minds kind of like are kind of one track mind. It's like, okay, we're on a trans shit now. It's like, okay, well, you know, we're still not there 100% when it comes to the conversation about gay people. So,
good job doing that. It ain't easy.
That's probably why people are like, thank you so much, Ethan. You know, makes sense.
You know, I thought it was good. Colton Underwood, the bachelor who was like in the closet. You guys probably heard of him. He had a Netflix documentary or miniseries. Documentary might be a little generous for what that was, but of him coming out to his parents and everything. And he comes from like a super conservative religious family. Honestly, the whole thing was kind of beautiful. I thought. Whatever you think of Colton Underwood or whatever he's done, apparently he's done weird stuff with his ex-girlfriend, whatever. Yeah, stalking her and shit. But shout out to the Swooper Trooper who came out.
Okay.
It's just a shame that you're trying to.
What did that mean? What was that story about? Did I just miss the story?
Girl grandstand on me when we all know you could have fixed it. You should have gone to your local church. I know a guy that'll cut off the oxygen to your brain, give you brain damage. You'll never have sex with another man. You'll never have sex with anything, bucko. Anyway, shout out to the LBGTQ, and then there's a 2 at the end, apparently. You guys can educate me on what that means. Did we ditch the plus for the 2? Jordan Peterson? I'll take that 2 and shove it right up your ass, you moral grandstanders. You know what a plus sign looks like? An asshole. It's outrageous.
Yeah, these jokes are not landing. Now I know that that all the producers are basically the show at this point. This is terrible. You know what? In his defense, I feel like my jokes wouldn't hit as well if I didn't have my chat here to like correct me on things and to have conversations with my chat. So maybe he just needs his sidearm. He needs his friends, because these jokes are killing me in the wrong way.
To be flaunting such a juicy starfish in front of me, I can't help it. I love men. Where would we be? My friends, we are back.
Okay. Well, ultimately, I will say I didn't think that I didn't think it was going to be a whole 17 minutes of just this one tweet. I understand that. Listen, you know, we still don't know exactly what Jordan Peterson was trying to say here. I think that anybody who looks at that would. I don't think it's unreasonable to come to the conclusion that he supports conversion therapy, and he very well may. I think that, thinking about it for a little, I think what he was trying to say was like, yeah, we know conversion therapy is bad, and banning it is effectively doesn't really do anything because it's already effectively banned. Maybe it's banned statewide or whatever. I don't know. And so this is more of just like a moral grandstanding, like kind of like a virtue signal. That's what I think he's trying to say more than anything else. It's also possible that he is zoning in on the language, which means it's now illegal to promote, advertise, or benefit from or subject people to. Maybe he's focusing on the freedom of speech aspect. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, that's all. That's it. You know, there you go. There you go.